Dinesh, before the premiere of Hillary's America in Hollywood, you said that if you had to pick a genre for the film, it would be horror. Why?
I think what I meant is that, you know, we often hear about the horrors of American history, going back to slavery and segregation, lynching, Jim Crow, the Ku Klux Klan, forced sterilization, sympathy in America for fascism in the 1930s, the internment of the Japanese in World War II. Now, usually when the progressives point out these horrors, they say, look, the South did them, or the Republican Party did them, or America did them. And what I try to show is that these horrors of American history were perpetrated not by America, they were actually perpetrated by the Democratic Party. A really good example is the Ku Klux Klan, which was the terrorist wing of the Democratic Party for 40 years.
You don't think the party has outgrown that?
Well, I think that the party has outgrown it in the sense that obviously no one is going around lynching people in the obvious way today. That obviously doesn't happen. But here's what I mean. Many of the same problems that the Democrats inflicted upon minorities in the past, they inflict on them today. If you walked through inner city Oakland or Detroit or Dallas, these places where you have these urban shootings, in some ways you can say that the Democratic plantation is boiling over. And what I mean is they've created horrible lives for the people who live in there. There's no hope, there are no jobs, there's no opportunity, the family structure is broken down, horrible levels of crime and violence, so you almost get PTSD living in those areas. Now remember, these areas of America are Democratic all the way down. Democratic mayors, Democratic city officials, Democratic school superintendents. So who's going to take the responsibility for these things if not the Democratic Party?
You claim in the film that several instances where the Clinton trade favors for funds to foreign governments. Can you give me an example?
Yes, this is documented in a book called Clinton Cash in excruciating detail, but it's also been supported by reporting in the New York Times, the Washington Post, many other places. Many foreign governments have poured large amounts of money into the Clinton Foundation. And not only that, many American companies that had decisions, trade deals before the State Department, when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, were funneling money into the Clinton Foundation, money before, and then if they get what they want, more money to follow, and then excessive speech money to Bill Clinton. So there's a kind of very uneasy kind of collaboration between the two Clintons, one guy collecting the money and the other person performing the official favors. It's quite a seedy arrangement.
You recently said that Hillary Clinton wants to be the mob boss of America. What do you mean?
Well, if we look back in American history, we have these histories of sort of urban bosses. A really good example was Boss Tweed in Tammany Hall in New York, or even Richard Daley in Chicago. These are sort of urban machines that run the whole town like a racket. They rob the treasury, they give contracts to their own friends. Al Capone, even though a mobster, was closely tied in with the Democratic machine in Chicago. And here's my point. The Clintons are just taking this racket to the national and even the global level. So we've never seen anything like this before in American politics, where one spouse is the Secretary of State, the other is the ex-president. They're doing favors not only for American corporations and individuals, but foreign governments. So they've taken, I think, the idea of the urban city boss and applied it to the whole of America.
If Hillary Clinton were president, what aspect of her presidency would concern you the most?
I think what would concern me the most about Hillary would be that she would be essentially looking at the presidency as an extension of how to benefit herself and Bill and establish, if you will, a Clinton dynasty. Now, we've had dynasties in American politics, FDR dynasty, to some degree, obviously the dynasty of the Kennedys. But look, FDR was already rich when he became president. So was Kennedy. Those people didn't become president to try to rob the treasury. By Hillary's own account, she was dead broke. The Clintons have gone from $0 to $300 million at warp speed. Their foundation has over $3 billion in donations. Now, this is not because they invented the iPhone or came up with Federal Express. They've been using politics to make money, and try to think of the kind of power they would have to do that if they were reinstalled in the White House.